Someone said something today that kind of stuck with me. They said, when you don't understand how things work, everything looks like a conspiracy. While billionaires are stealing our shit and selling it back to us with a government they bought, and telling us to blame immigrants and poor people just to feed the prison industrial complex, we still need to keep an eye on a paradigm shift that's about more than just greed and prejudice. In my opinion, it's the most underlying systemic failure in our history, and it's called the demographic crisis. No other generation in history has come close to influencing the world as much as the baby boomers. No other generation has outnumbered the boomers at their peak. For over half a century, they built the world we live in, the economy we now struggle in, the institutions that no longer work. They were the engine of labor, consumption, growth, and political power. They bought homes, paid taxes, had kids. They shaped the system. But now they're retiring, they're aging, and a lot of them are dying. We're talking about the largest generation in history that is not working, not producing, not paying taxes, but they still vote and they still own pretty much all the shit. So think about the implications of this. We have a global population that's aging out faster than it's replacing itself. So it's creating problems that are only going to get louder over the next decade. Problems like labor shortages, bankrupt pensions, collapsing healthcare systems, budget cuts to social programs, a shrinking tax base trying to prop up exploding entitlement spending. This is why states and governments around the world are cutting welfare programs and raising the retirement age and keeping wages stagnant while increasing their deficits. And this isn't hypothetical either. This is not a conspiracy theory. It's already happening in Japan, China, Germany, and Italy. The United States has just showed up late for the funeral. So what happens in 2035 when they're all gone? What happens when the largest generation in history reaches its life expectancy? What happens when they're all dead? The biggest transfer of wealth in history. Some will inherit houses, lands, stocks, but most of us inherit nothing but the deficit because the systems they leaned on, Social Security, Medicare, pensions, those were designed when the worker to retiree ratio was 16 to 1. Now it's barely 2 to 1, if that. Meanwhile, the industries built around aging, like retirement communities, elder care, pharmaceuticals, those start collapsing too. Not just from a lack of demand, but from labor shortages and bankrupt public funding. And then the political landscape shifts. Boomers have been the dominant voting bloc forever, and when they lose their grip, younger generations are left standing in a room full of broken furniture and unpaid bills. And then wait until 20 million decaying houses hit the market all at once. 20 million liabilities in dead suburbs and flood zones, accompanied by sky-high property taxes, rising insurance, and repairs no one wants to deal with. But here's the worst part. Even after they're all gone, we're still stuck in the world they built. Suburbs designed for endless car culture, education systems that train workers, not thinkers, government policies built for infinite growth on a planet that is clearly hitting limits. It's not going to be a clean slate. We're just going to inherit a bunch of dysfunctional, obsolete crap. So here's where we have to make a choice because we are the ones who have to decide what happens next. Whether we like it or not, we're the adults now. And if we don't start thinking like builders, then we're just roommates in a collapsing structure, arguing over whose turn it is to take out the garbage. So here is what we absolutely need to be thinking about right now. We need to rewrite the social contract. Universal benefits for everyone, no exceptions. Healthcare that doesn't depend on employment. Retirement that isn't a freaking pyramid scheme. And a safety net that's modern, digital, and reality-based. And an education system that encourages empathy and creativity instead of specialized rote memorization. Our distribution systems need to be decentralized and automated, and we need to stop chasing global scale and start building resilience. We need urban farms, local manufacturing, 3D printing, vertical integration. We need smart cities, not competitive cities. And we need to build systems and institutions that can last 100 years or more, even if we don't live to see them finished. We have to start thinking in centuries, not quarterly profits or 4-year terms. And we need to design the future like we're going to live in it, because we are, because nobody is coming to fix it, because this is the tipping point of history. This is the great unwinding, the last gasp. the death rattle of an old world, and we get to see it happen. We are witnessing the collapse of a system that was doomed to break itself, not because someone sabotaged it, not because of one political party or one bad law. It just simply ran out of runway. This is structural, systemic, bigger than any one villain. We have to stop glorifying collapse. Collapse is what happens when no one shows up. Resilience is what happens when someone does. We're not doomed. We're just post-empire. We have an opportunity here to design the future. So we need technical solutions, scalable fixes, infrastructure thinking. This doesn't have to be a crisis if we treat it like a prototype for a new world, because what we do next becomes the blueprint. So keep your eye on the future, because this is what the new frontier is going to look like. A world past its growth spurt, a civilization learning to live within its limits, a generation building to endure, not to dominate. And if we do it right, not only will we survive the end of the old world, we will build the beginning of the next one.